4 high schools, 7 middle schools, 1 college, and a university, and much more. Now introducing your most comprehensive weekly local sports show in Madison County, the Richmond Register Sports Show. The Richmond Register Sports Show is brought to you by MetroNet, superfast internet, simply a better connection. Central Kentucky Pressure Washing. And by KYmedia.net, digital media solutions on your terms. Here's your host for all things local sports, the Richmond Register Sports Editor, Nathan Hutchinson.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Richmond Register Sports Show. My name is Nathan Hutchinson. I'm the sports editor of the Richmond Register, and we appreciate you watching our show this week. We have a lot of stuff going on. The high school sports season is underway. It's still just golf at this point. Boys and girls soccer will start on Monday, and then the following Monday we'll get into volleyball. But as of right now, the sports landscape in high school sports, at least here in Madison County, has been dominated by some great high school golf action, and we'll get into that in a minute. But if you never watched our show before, we like to start off each episode with kind of a little recap of this week in Madison County sports. And then we will have a special guest each week. And this week it's our old friend, the guy who was the very first guest on this show 2 years ago, Danny Hope, former EKU football coach, assistant coach, and all kinds of good things. But we're going to talk about the future of EKU football, the current state of EKU football, and we'll tell some stories and have some laughs about some good old days gone by. So very happy to have Danny back on the show. He made a special trip in from Western Kentucky just to be on the show, so we're very appreciative of him. But like I said, we always like to give you a recap of what happened this week in Madison County sports here at the top of the show. Now we have to start by talking about the Madison Central boys golf team. I mean, these young men have, in the 2 weeks that the season has been going on, have very quickly established themselves as a legitimate state title contender. It's just been really fun to watch these guys. On Monday, they went over to Bowling Green Country Club, which is where the state golf tournament is held every year, and took first place at the Greenwood Gator Invitational. They shot a +2 290, and it was Warren Thomas taking the individual title with a 3 under 69, and Cooper Eberly shooting a 1 under 71 to tie for fourth. They followed that up with a great performance on Wednesday and Thursday at a very unique event called the LCA Kentucky Cup. It's held every year up at the University Club of Kentucky up in Lexington. It's the 15th year they've had it. They start off on Wednesday with individual stroke play. There were, I think, 19 teams, most of the best teams in the state, and everybody plays individual stroke play. And after the first round, the top 4 teams then move on to the championship, where they play match play between the teams. And after the first day, Central was the number 2 seed, and they took on Ryle in the semifinals on Thursday in the match play competition, and it was 2-2 heading into the final match, and it was Clay Pendergrass coming up with the victory, which sent Madison Central into the championship, where they had to take on state powerhouse Trinity, who earlier in that day had beaten St. Xavier, and it was kind of a rough start for the Indians. They lost the first match, pulled even when Cooper Everly won his match. Then he went down 2-1, and Gavin McCune had a big lead, and the Trinity player rallied to get back into that match. But Gavin McCune and Warren Thomas both won their matches to give Madison Central a 3-2 win. Huge win for those guys. That is one of the premier tournaments in the state. Like I said, 15th year they've had that. Central had gotten to the semifinals of that a few times, but had never even gotten to the championship round, and so for them to win it is very, very impressive. So let me tell you, folks, Kyle Congleton is a great coach, and he's doing a great job with those young men. And like I said before, they are serious state title contenders. So keep an eye on them. And then they played Friday over at Gibson Bay, and they also played Saturday at the Kentucky Invitational Tournament in Louisville. We don't have updates for those because we had to film this show a little early this week, but if you check out our social media sites, we will certainly have the results posted on there as soon as we can. So check out Twitter, Richmond R Sports, and Facebook at Register Sports and RichmondRegister.com. So you'll get the updates there. But keep an eye on those young men. They certainly have a bright future, and it could be a very, very special year for the Indians. In other boys golf news, on Monday, the Model Invitational was held at Arlington Country Club, and Madison Central's junior varsity team actually took second in that tournament. And There's Jacob Aldridge with a 3 under 69, finished second, and Rodney Bales with a plus 274, finished 11th. Madison Central was 13th in that competition, and Clifton Scully was a plus 375 and tied for 13th. And Model was 19th, and Thomas Lexington was a plus 375 and tied for 13th. So it's kind of a wrap up of the boys golf of the week. Now on the girls golf side as well, Madison Central also has a tremendous team this year and could certainly also challenge for a state championship. This week the Lady Indians did not have Clara Beth Ramsey with them. She's competing in one of the biggest junior events of the year up in Connecticut. But even without one of their best players, on Monday, the Lady Indians went over to the Ladies Battle at the Bridge in Danville and rolled past the competition with a 24-stroke victory. It was Elizabeth Eberly taking 69, tied for first place, and she lost in a playoff. And Lydia Harrell shot a 75. On Tuesday, over at Gibson Bay, was the Madison Central Invitational, and Madison Central's Lady Indians took third place with a 327, and their JV actually finished fourth place with 348. Central put 12 kids on the course, and just to show the incredible depth this team has, 9 of those kids finished within the top 40. Just unbelievable the amount of really good golfers that Tenny Orr and her coaching staff have over there at Madison Central right now. So Elizabeth Eberly with a plus 476 was sixth. Lydia Harrell with a plus 779, tied for eighth. And Amelia Harrell, who actually played on the B team, the JV team, shot a plus 880 and tied for 10th. So that shows you how deep this team is. That one of their kids playing on the JV team finished at the top 10 in a tournament. So other scores from that tournament: Madison Southern's Casey Cameron was a plus 880 and tied for 10th, and Models Leslie Durr was a plus 22 and tied for 39th. And on Thursday, Madison Central went over to the Shelby County Lady Rocket Invitational, and the Lady Indians ended up in sixth place with a 294. Elizabeth Eberly with a plus 375 and finished 10th. So lots of golf action to report on there. Until the other sports kick in, golf really kind of dominates the sports landscape here in the early part of the summer. So lots of other stuff to talk about, off the court stuff as well. We have some coaching news. It was just a couple of months ago. We were at the press conference where Derek Robinson was introduced as the new girls basketball coach at Model Lab School, and he is no longer in that position. He just earlier this week, it was announced he had taken over the girls basketball program at Bourbon County, which is his alma mater. So that leaves Model looking for a new coach. At this point, I talked to athletic director Scotty Sutton, and they are going to go with Lee Cummins as the interim coach. She was kind of the coach who had led them most of the summer, so that'll be where they'll go for now. And also, high school baseball, Jason Langfeld's, after I guess one season at Madison Southern, he's actually hired in 2019, but there was no season in 2020. So after one season as the head coach of the Madison Southern baseball program, he has stepped down to take a vice principal role here in the county, and so his assistant, Jim Dwyer, has been hired to take over that program. So some news there, and some legal news to report as well. It's crazy stuff this week all over the place, but the Ohio Valley Conference has filed suit against Eastern Kentucky University and Jacksonville State University, seeking $1 million each from both of those institutions. The dispute here is over exit fees. Neither one of those schools has paid the $1 million exit fee, which is in the Ohio Valley Conference bylaws. If you do not give 2 years worth of notice, there is a $1 million fee or penalty, if you want to call it that. And the OVC released a very lengthy statement. You printed it out. It was 4 pages, very very detailed, and they went through their case very thoroughly as to why they thought that EKU should pay the fee, and also Jacksonville State as well. But they filed that suit in the Franklin County Court here in Kentucky, and also they filed suit against Jacksonville State down in court down in Alabama as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. The last team to lead the Ohio Valley Conference was Samford a few years back, and they did pay the $1 million fee. And the OVC bylaws clearly state that if you do not give 2 years notice, you do have to pay the $1 million fee. And so EKU did put out a statement on Tuesday, just basically saying that they look forward to a chance to argue their case in court, and they would make their argument at that time. So very interesting there as we have all that leading into Friday when the football kids reported for the first day of practice. So of course So we'll see how that turns out as well. So we have high school soccer starting this coming week. If you look in the Saturday edition of the Richmond Register, you will see our boys, 44th District boys soccer preview. All 4 local teams, Southern, Central, Berea, and Model. Nice big write-ups on all of those teams. And we'll have a girls preview later this week as well. But if you pick up Saturday's paper, the boys one is in there. The interesting matchups here in the first week. On Tuesday, you have a boys game. You have Berea at Model. And then also on Tuesday, you have Dunbar at Madison Southern boys. That'll be a good early season test for the 3-time defending district champion Madison Southern Eagles. And then on Saturday, Madison Central's boys travel up to Covcath to take on a really good Covenant Catholic team. So lots of stuff coming up. And then, of course, the week after that, we'll have volleyball as well. So things are getting ramped up. Lots of stuff. If you follow us on social media, we will blow up your feed. Lots of scores, pictures, all kinds of good stuff. So we are out and about around the county all the time, getting as much stuff as we can. So appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, we will have our good friend Danny Hope here in just a minute. He made a special trip in to talk to us, and he's a great guy, and he is a very interesting perspective on what's going on over at EKU football right now. He doesn't actually, he's not on the staff this year, but he is very much involved with the program, kind of as an advisory position, and he does actually have a position at the university, and he'll talk to us about what his actual kind of part-time job over there is, and what he's kind of been doing. But he's an interesting character, and anybody who's followed EKU football for the last 40 years knows who Danny is. And I think other than Roy Kidd, he's probably the most recognizable figure in the history of the program. So I've known him a long time, and it's always great to sit down and talk with him. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be right back with Coach Danny Hope.
Do you want to sponsor the weekly Richmond Register Sports Show? Contact the Richmond Register, richmondregister.com, and of course on Facebook or Twitter. Get the Richmond Register directly to your mailbox, or get the app online and visit richmondregister.com. The Richmond Register Sports Show is brought to you by MetroNet, superfast internet, simply a better connection. Central Kentucky Pressure Washing. And by kymedia.net, digital media solutions on your terms. Here's your host for all things local sports, the Richmond Register Sports Editor, Nathan Hutchinson.
Well, welcome back to this week's edition of the Richmond Register Sports Show, and we are so happy to have back again the very first guest we ever had on the show, someone who I've known for 1,000 years, and I feel like is a friend of mine, and EKU coach, former player, former assistant coach, all those things.
A lot of hats.
The great Danny Hope.
Yep.
Thanks for coming back.
Great to be here. Great to see you again.
Yeah, I know. We really appreciate it because you were out in Western Kentucky and you made the trip all the way in to do this. So we do very much appreciate you doing that.
I was out in Edmonson County, Kentucky. Sally and I lived there part of the year. It's a great place, a lot of great people, and we have some property there. So it was only a couple hours away. So good to be back.
Yeah. Well, you said are you heading to Florida, or you're not right now?
Well, actually we're residents of Florida, and we live down in Brevard County, down in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and we'll head back in a couple of weeks as we wrap up some of the work that we're working on in Edmonson County right now. Yeah,
chopping down trees and stuff out there, huh?
Well, just managing the property. You know, got to take care of business first.
Yeah, we had some trees come down there. That's Mother Nature, I guess. You're not doing it on purpose.
No. It's part of it.
Yeah,
part of it.
Yeah, what's an exciting time for the EKU football program? You obviously are not part of the program anymore. You were assistant coach a couple of years ago.
Certainly.
You came back for 1 year to help out, but you really have been out there leading the charge as kind of on these Colonel caravans and stuff, and on social media, and kind of helping promote the change. You're going to the Atlantic Sun conference and all that stuff, and it's an exciting time.
It is, and I'm very proud to be part of it. Excited about the conference change. I think it's really a big deal for the school and for all of our athletic teams. I think it's a real shot in the arm in a lot of ways. We think that we know that EKU is the school of choice, and for us to reach out and broaden our exposure and be able to increase our footprint in other areas is huge for our school right now, and great for all of our athletic programs and teams. So I'm excited about the move, and it's a new EKU and the rebirth of some of the programs in a lot of ways. So a lot of great things happening for EKU, and particularly EKU football now.
Yeah, and you are probably more than anybody in touch and in tune with what the alumni and the sponsors and the donors and the Warren Clink Club people think. So I think it's been pretty overwhelming that everybody's pretty excited about this.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm connected all the way back to the very beginning when I was the head coach here. 03, 4, 5, 6, and 7 was really connected with our football alum base and got connected with all the past players from the past. And obviously I played here from 76 and I was an 81 grad. And then came back as a head coach here, and then came back as an assistant coach here. So I'm tied with guys, our oldest living football alum from the 40s to the guys that are just graduating from the team last season. So it's kind of unique situation, but it's a lot of fun, and we're into it, and we're getting a lot done right now. We recently kicked off a project a year ago, a booster club, the Matter of Pride Boosters, and it right now it's probably made up of over half of it is made up of football alum, but we're closing in on 300 members strong, and our giving level start at $25 all the way up to $5,000, and we wanted to be all inclusive, so we only list our members alphabetically only. But it's really a big deal. We are the primary fundraising source for EKU and EKU football, and 100% of the money goes to benefit the football team. So been busy with that and very proud of that. To find out more about it, you can go to the EKU Athletic website and look up Matter of Pride Boosters.
Okay. Now, obviously, like we said, you did come back to coach the offensive line during the 2019 season for 1 year, but you no longer on the staff, but you are affiliated with the university. What is your role over there right now?
Well, I'm a liaison for Eastern Kentucky University. I work for the development office in conjunction with the athletic department, and I'm connected with our administrators and a lot of our leaders, and get share ideas with them, and reach out to our alumni base and people that would be interested in being part of EKU and the directions that we're going in and things that we're working on to achieve for the university.
Yeah, it's kind of a position you can kind of do from home and on the road, and so it's you're not over on campus
Absolutely.
With an office or anything.
No. It's a very, very part-time position, and we put a lot of time into it, but we're very proud of what we're getting done and really into it, and very excited to be included in it. But it's a part-time position. I don't live in Richmond. I don't have an office on campus, but I come back often, and I talk with our leaders and our coaches on a regular basis. So it's very fulfilling for me, and I think it's a way for me to benefit EKU as well.
Okay. Now, going into the ASUN next season, it's a bit confusing to people, and I'm sure you've had to explain this to some of the people at the events.
That's been explained to me a lot too. It is a bit confusing if you're not used to it.
So the Atlantic Sun only has 5 teams that play Division I football, and so they do not have enough to form their own league to have an automatic bid to the conference championships or go to the FCS playoffs. So until they can get a 6th team, they had to go into this kind of joint thing this year with the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference. And so what we have this year is the AQ7, which consists of the Central Arkansas, Jacksonville State, EKU, and then 4 teams from Texas: Lamar, Sam Houston State, Abilene Christian, and Stephen F. Austin. So for 1 season at least, that's the teams they will play. Now it's so confusing to people because for forever it's been Tennessee Tech and Austin P and UT Martin and Murray, and so it's kind of confusing to people, but it
is at first because the conference is not really etched in stone yet. Its members are not etched in stone, particularly from the football playing standpoint.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the games that we schedule, they all count like a conference win, and if you win enough games and you play well enough, then you can qualify for a bid for the playoffs and can compete for the championship in a very, very top spot of FCS football.
Yeah.
So the teams that are on the schedule this year, they all count, and that's the mock-up conference that we're going to be in for this season. And as they invite teams in and etch it in stone, it'll formulate into being one of the top FCS conferences in the country for all sports, but particularly for football.
Yeah, I mean the bones are there because Central Arkansas, Jacksonville State, and EKU come in this year. They already had North Alabama and Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State is normally a top 25 team.
Absolutely.
Central Arkansas and JSU were top 25 teams. So this is the bones of a really good conference, and there've been, we've heard names, we've heard Austin P, we've heard Chattanooga, we've heard other schools that they've been pursuing, but if they bring in some more quality schools, this is going to be a hell of a conference.
It's going to be a great conference, and some of the young people that I've talked about have coined it, it's the SEC of the FCS in some ways, but there are a lot of great teams, and if you look, a lot of those teams are located in great areas of great recruiting base. Outstanding. Outstanding football in Jacksonville, and outstanding football in the state of Florida, and the places that we're going, and the teams that we're competing against. Great talent-laden states. So it'll be very, very competitive, but certainly it should be attractive for our fan base. They'll want to watch all of EKU sports, particularly EKU football. I'm excited about it, and every game there's an opportunity for us to win and to make a big step as a team and a program and make a statement. So fantastic opportunities coming up this season for our team.
Yeah, and this schedule this year may be one of the toughest in EKU history. I mean, just the fact that you have to get I don't know if they're going to fly or bus down there, but you have to go down to Texas and play the defending national champion, Sam Houston State. And then you also have to play, like I said, Central Arkansas, Jacksonville State, Stephen F. Austin, who beat EKU last year. So it's a tough schedule.
It is. It's very competitive. And when I was the head coach here, I thought we did a great job of strengthening our schedule, and I thought it made the program much more attractive from a recruiting standpoint. We always played at least one Division I football team, and at that point in time, our non-conference games were Appalachia State and Western Kentucky, and they were both either coming off FCS national championship or approaching an FCS championship, and both those teams were also on their way springboarding to Division 1A. So I've seen that type of schedule before, and it's attractive in the recruiting process. It certainly will get the players' attention. They'll have to be ready every game, but every game is a fantastic opportunity for our team this season.
Yeah, open the season September 4th at Western Carolina, and we've been to Cullowhee one time. You remember the trip to Cullowhee back years ago? It was not a fun trip.
It was not a fun trip. They're a good football team. They have a good program, good fans. We played them last year, obviously in our Opportunity Bowl here, and we won that game. And it's a game that if we play well and go down there and take care of the football, we should expect to win. Okay, but it's not an easy opener. We're on the road against a team that has beaten us in the past, but at least we're familiar with them in some ways. But I think it's a very good opener for our football team. And then after that, I believe we're at the University of Louisville
next.
And they're a Division I powerhouse, and it'll be a great challenge for our team. But I think who we open up with will certainly get the team's attention and focus and get ready to play.
Yeah, we're going to take a trip down memory lane here in a minute, but I want to first of all give us an update on your lovely wife Sally and then your son Chaz.
Well, I appreciate you asking about them. Sally's doing fantastic. We're closing in on 45 years together as husband and wife, so that's quite an achievement in a lot of ways. Absolutely. She's fully retired now, officially. She retired from Western Kentucky, was teaching there. But she's involved, Sally, in a lot of projects, and then all the projects that I'm involved with, she's always there to help me. So she's doing fantastic. And Chaz is doing really well. He's in law enforcement, has been very successful, and really certainly very proud of him.
Yeah. It seems like when did Chaz graduate?
Oh man,
it was a long time ago. 2008.
From high school or college?
Yeah, high school.
I think it was 08 in high school, and then 12, I think, from Eastern Kentucky.
Okay, yeah. It's a long time ago. So.
Thanks for asking about it.
Yeah, well, we always remember those guys, and Chaz playing quarterback at Madison Central. That was kind of fun to watch.
Had a lot of fun.
He had a big arm, man. He had a big arm. He could throw the ball long.
Played defense for him and did really well. And they had some good teams. And you look back on that roster, and a lot of those guys went on and played college football and did very well. So it was a great experience for him.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to you the other day, and I'm always amazed in the coaching world and in the football world how things are so interconnected. And we were just talking, and we brought up Cord Sandberg, who's just transferred to EKU from Auburn, and it's amazing how things just are connected. In 2012, you were at Purdue as the head coach. That was your last year, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you recruited him.
He was a top recruit and on everybody's list and everybody's wish list, and certainly was on our wish list at Purdue.
That was 9 years ago.
Right. And we weren't on his short list, unfortunately, at the time, but I've known of him and know his family very well. My first coaching job was at Manatee High School, 81, 82, 83, and 84 for Joe Canan, who had been the offensive coordinator at Eastern Kentucky University when we won our championships back-to-back, our national championships. Not back-to-back, but our appearances back-to-back in 79 and 80. And Cord played for him, and his father is an assistant coach at Manatee High School for about 3.5 decades, so I've known the family and know who the young man is and know where he's from. Very, very familiar with it, and he's certainly a great get for EKU. And excited to see what he does.
Yeah, I'm sure people are doing the math right now going, wait a minute, 2012. But the story is the young man went to play, out of high school, we went and played minor league baseball for 6 years. Before he went to Auburn for a couple of years and came here. So he's, what, 26 or 28 or what is he?
You're pretty close on that.
He's up in his 20s. He's married. So it's a very interesting story. But it's amazing to me that you say, "Wow, we recruited that kid."
Super player though,
9 years ago.
Super player and a really, really good person. So glad to see where he became a colonel.
Yeah, that's great. And also, I wanted to kind of in that same mode. I wanted to ask you about the current coach, Walt Wells. I mean, you guys probably crossed paths for a while. He was on your staff. Was he on your staff?
No, he really was on my staff. He was on Coach Kidd's staff. And then when I came to EKU as the head football coach, I brought Sean Clark on board as my offensive line coach. And then
now the head coach at Appalachian State.
Appalachian State. And he's done very, very well. But I've known Coach Wells for years and years, and he's a very good football coach. And I think he brings some things to the table that are really important for our team and program right now. He's an offensive line coach, and
near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, and know him very well. He's a very, very good offensive line coach, but he's going to make sure that he keeps things simple and that these guys are hanging their hat on fundamentals and toughness and putting the team first. And I've got a lot of confidence in him and Walt and what he can do. He's also a really very, very strong recruiter. I've watched what he's been doing as he's been recruiting guys to come to EKU and the work that he's done recruiting guys out of the new recruiting portal, which is all different now. And I think some of those things play to his strengths in some ways. So excited about him being at EKU, and really look forward to seeing him work and progress our team and program.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel happy for a guy like that. He was an assistant for basically 20 plus years.
He's paid his dues
at Western, at Tennessee, at Kentucky, at Austin Peay. I mean, he was all over the place.
He's paid his dues, and he's always been a great competitor, and that's what it boils down to. He knows how to win. He likes to win, and I think it was a good hire for Eastern.
Yeah, and I think you can speak for the alumni more than I do, but the alumni loves when a former colonel comes back. They love when you came back, and they kind of feel like it's family, and you want someone who's connected to the program and connected to Coach Kidd and all that stuff.
It can help. Obviously some familiarity with the fan base and the culture of EKU and Richmond, but I spent a lot of years in college coaching, and one thing. In most of the places that I've coached at, I've coached here more than one time. I coached at the University of Louisville a couple of times, at Purdue a couple of times, at Eastern Kentucky a couple of times. And the longer you're at a place, the better you become at recruiting for that school and that program. So the fact that Walt's been here before and he's familiar with the culture and the fan base and the tradition and the history and all that is really, really important. But I think the fact that he's recruited here before and knows that the school really gives him a leg up in some ways.
And Tennessee, too. He recruited the heck out of Tennessee for all those years at UT. So
he really
knows that territory pretty well. Well, just kind of from an outsider's viewpoint, I mean, we haven't seen him play yet. Camp will start next week, but kind of what do you get a feel for this year's team? I mean, there's obviously, like you said, with the transfer portal, there's been a lot of turnover, plus and minus. You get some, you lose some, you get some, and kind of kids are flying all over the place. And
it's really different now.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So it's hard to get an assessment. Even when you look at the roster and you see the ages of the players, it's a little misleading because 2020, the COVID year, didn't really count. But I know one thing: we're a lot further ahead than we were this time last year, and he has a lot to work with.
Yeah. No, the rules are crazy. I mean, you look at the starting quarterback is a kid named Parker McKinney from little tiny Coalfield, Tennessee. He will now. This will be his fourth season as a colonel. He's still a redshirt sophomore. He only played 3 games his first year, so he got to take the red shirt. You get the COVID year last year, so he literally will be graduating in the fall of 2022, and he'll still have 2 more years of
he's a really good player, too. I'm a Parker
McKinney
McKinney fan. He's a good player and enjoyed being around him when I was here as the offensive line coach in 19, and he has a lot of courage in the pocket, and the players rally around him. So I'm glad he's got some eligibility left, and glad he's still here.
Yeah, I bet you wish you had those redshirt rules back when you were the coach, right?
I think. There's some tough decisions have to be made in the recruiting process with rules like that, and the whole industry is changing so much on a daily basis. It's hard to keep up with it all. Sometimes you think that all you're going to do is go over and work on X's and O's and get your team ready, and next thing you know, the world as you know it, the football world as you know it around you is changing so much on a daily basis. So a lot of changes, but certainly excited about our potential and what's to come for us.
You told me the other day when you head back to Florida, you were going to reconnect with a bunch of the old guys, Christiani and stuff from that era. So who do you still stay in contact with? Who from the players from that era?
Well, quite a few of the guys. I didn't connect with them. Okay, I stayed here in the state to kind of finish some work.
I see. You said next time you're going down there. Yeah.
Right, but we're not going to. We won't see each other here in the next couple of months. But I stay in touch with almost all those guys, and that's one of the reasons why I like the job that I'm doing for Eastern, the assignment, if you will. I'm going to call it a job. It's more of an assignment, is it keeps me connected with all the former players that I had the privilege to coach. It keeps me in touch with the great group of guys that I got to play with, man. We had an unbelievable group of guys that I played football with that I just adore them, and it gives me a chance to stay in touch with them and then stay in touch with all the guys that have supported the program in the past. But I stay in touch with almost probably about half of our football alum in some fashion or another. And then Sally and I try to reach out to the guys that played for us and try to connect with them on an annual basis, either through emails or coming back for homecoming events and things like that. So we still stay in touch, and those guys did a fantastic job, the guys that played for me here.
Yeah.
Did a fantastic job. I like being in a position now where I'm not working all the time, where I can stop and try to reach out to them in some ways. So it's been good. Really
I know there's a lot of them, and you don't want to play favorites and say your favorites, but I'll tell you one of my favorites was Matt Geis. That kid, he played through so many injuries. And, of course, his dad played here. There was a legacy here.
Tremendous warrior.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
He was always hurt, always injured, and but, man, he just always battled through. And
he's a great player for us, and really he could have been an outstanding player on either side of the ball. He could have been. I think he could have been an outstanding linebacker.
Yeah.
He played quarterback like one in some ways, and he gave us some edge in the passing game and the running game. And like his dad, he's a great competitor.
Yeah.
And really, when I first came back to EKU, even with the upgrade in the schedule, we were still very competitive. Mm-hmm. And he did a lot of great things on the field, and I'm glad that he was already on the team when I got here, because he was a huge help.
It's funny you mentioned he could be a linebacker, because you remember that 2004 game at Appalachian State. The first half of that game, he throws an interception, and he literally hunted down that DB that intercepted it and put the biggest lick on that kid you ever saw.
Yeah, he's not supposed to do that, okay? I said, you want to be a quarterback, you want to cover kicks, man. Let me know, okay?
Yeah.
He's a tough nut.
He was mad, though. He wanted to get that kid.
Oh, yeah. He played to win. He and his dad are the same way. They're great colonels, man.
Yeah.
Great colonels.
That's right. Well, we, like I said, I want to take a trip down memory lane, and I teased this to you before we came on the air, and I didn't want to let you know too much about it, so November 20th, 2004, season finale at Tennessee Tech. You guys are 5-5. It is 18-16 Tech with about 6 minutes left. You guys get into Tennessee Tech territory and can't convert on third down. You guys were down like your fourth-string quarterback. You only had like 200 yards of offense in that game.
Yeah, we had a tough time.
So you had to turn to your kicker, Phil Cole. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so Phil coming into that game was 6 of 18 on field goal attempts that year. He had a horrible year. Great kid. He's a great kid, great guy, but he had a horrible year kicking the ball. He actually hit a 22-yarder in the first half. So you guys get down there, and you said you had to kind of contemplate for a minute what to do. And so you turned around and said, okay, Phil, go ahead. And do you remember what the reaction from the players on the sidelines was? There was kind of a collective gasp, like, oh, no. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember it, but he missed a couple of kicks, but the kid was the winner.
What? He
was a winner.
Yeah, that's the whole point, because
absolutely.
You told me, you turned around and said, Phil, go do it. Yeah. And the players kind of went, ugh.
Well, sure.
And Phil walked out a couple of steps. You said he turned around and he said, what? I'm going to make it.
Right. He didn't have
and he made it. And he made it. Do you remember him saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. I sure do. I haven't thought about it in a while.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any reservation.
No, he stepped up and he was clutch. And we're not trying to bag on him. I mean, like you said, he missed quite a few that year, but there were some rain games and stuff. And
we didn't make it easy on him now.
No, it wasn't. But I still tell people that story. That kid just so confidently turned around and was like, what? I'm going to make it.
I do remember that.
And he did, and credit to him. And you guys won that game 19-18, and that was the 27th straight winning season for.
That was so important too. We went almost 50 years here, went almost a half a century without having a losing season. And I'm so proud of the guys that played for me when I was here as a head coach, because they really embraced that. Mm-hmm. And they really embraced that and bought into it. And they kept it alive. Man.
Your first couple of years, I mean, it was a struggle to get to the 6-5 point and keep the streak alive. I mean,
we scheduled ourselves in position to build the program, but it was very competitive. in our 15 non-conference games, the 5 years that I was here, we played Appalachia State and Western Kentucky in a Division I team, 13 of those 15 games. So it was competitive, but I like the fact the way that the team always found, in the end, winning seasons and competing for championships is what we were about, and we found a way to do that. So proud of those guys.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like I said, we back in those days, I used to go to every game, road and home and away, and that was back before ESPN Plus, and you couldn't watch it on TV or nothing. You had to actually be there. But
that was a great experience. It really was. The players were tight, and the fan base was tight and very supportive. And like I said, like you said, you were always there and around. And it was really an exciting time for EKU football.
Even when you didn't want me around. Like I said, I mentioned that Western Carolina game. The post-game interview was about 30 seconds long, because I think I asked you 3 questions, and you gave me the same answer to all 3 questions, and I was like, okay, I get the point. I'll stop asking. You were just really mad.
It wasn't my finest moment.
Well, you guys went out to a big lead. You were up at halftime by maybe 21 or something, and it looked like you were going to roll, and the kids just came out flat in the second half.
Yeah, we just didn't get it done well enough in the second half.
Yeah, yeah, that's what happens, I guess, in Cullowhee. Cullowhee, North Carolina is one of those places you got to want to get there to get there. It's off the beaten path a little bit. But September 4th, that's where the Cardinals will open the season. Like I said, it's a very exciting time over at Eastern. The new turf is going in right now, and you seen the new lights over there?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen them in person, but I've seen some video of it, and have watched closely with the development. Facilities-wise, we have great facilities in place, but it was time for a new turf, and the practice field needed upgrading. So glad to see us take those steps. And the program has been progressing, over the last several years, facilities-wise, through the Elder era and now into the Wells era. So I think, particularly with this recruiting portal, the quality of our facilities give us a leg up in the recruiting process. Competition-wise, in some ways.
Because you guys actually put the turf on the Presnell field when you were there.
That was a long time ago. Absolutely, yeah. That was a big project.
You knew a guy, and they brought him in from out of state.
It was Ron Reed. He was a former EKU football player. Played linebacker here. Was a great guy, and did us a great service, and put a heck of a heck of a artificial turf down. And we even had some of our fans, Carl Kuhn and some of his guys were out there, even helped us doing some of the construction work. So it was a full-blown team effort, from the players to the coaches all the way to some of our fans on that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, it's a new era over at Eastern Kentucky University, and I'm so glad that you're with them. You're still around, and really,
Me too.
Besides Coach Kidd, I think you are like the face of the program. But you and Coach Kidd are kind of like the two faces of this program, and people identify. There's even an online message board, and someone even on there even has the handle Danny Hope's Ghost. So.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I don't do enough message board stuff. I'm still not good at the button pushing thing. But very, very proud to be a colonel, and won't be one forever.
Well, you are certainly indelibly linked to this program, and everything that goes on over here. And I'm proud to call you a friend, and
you too, man.
And always good to see you and talk to you.
Absolutely, man.
We'll do it again very, very soon.
Yeah, go Cardinals.
All right. Well, we appreciate you watching this week's edition of the Richmond Register Sports Show. We do daily updates as well, which you can catch on our Twitter and Facebook and all those type social media places. But until next week, have a good day.
Do you want to sponsor the weekly Richmond Register Sports Show? Contact the Richmond Register, richmondregister.com, and of course on Facebook or Twitter. The Richmond Register Sports Show is brought to you by MetroNet, superfast internet, simply a better connection. Central Kentucky Pressure Washing. And by KYmedia.net, digital media solutions on your terms. Thanks for watching the Richmond Register Sports Show. For more information about all things sports in Madison County, log on to richmondregister.com or on Twitter. And like us, Register Sports on Facebook. Get the Richmond Register directly to your mailbox, or get the app online and visit richmondregister.com.